The year is 1944, a time when the world is engulfed in the flames of war. The place is Dachau concentration camp, a name that will forever be etched in the annals of history for its horrors. A young man named Ivan, imprisoned for nothing more than his Romani heritage, is dragged into a cold, sterile room, his heart pounding with dread. He is strapped to a table, his fear mirroring the glint in the eyes of the men in white coats around him, their expressions devoid of empathy. He doesn't understand their language, but their intent is clear, a sinister clarity that needs no words. This is no ordinary medical examination. This is an experiment, one that defies the very essence of humanity. An experiment that begins with the taste of salt water, a seemingly innocuous substance turned weapon. Ivan and dozens of other Romani prisoners are forced to drink seawater, their bodies slowly betraying them as the experiment unfolds, each sip a step closer to despair. The taste, initially reminiscent of freedom and the vast ocean, quickly turns into an instrument of torture, a cruel irony that mocks their suffering. Their lips crack, their throats burn, and their minds begin to unravel under the cruel hand of Nazi science, a relentless assault on their very being. The world outside may see the ocean as a symbol of life, but within the barbed wire fences of Dachau it becomes a symbol of slow, agonizing death, a testament to the depths of human cruelty. The seawater experiments were just one part of a much larger, more sinister program of medical experimentation conducted by the Nazi regime during World War II. These experiments were not isolated incidents, but were part of a systematic approach to human suffering and degradation. Driven by a twisted ideology of racial purity and a desire to create a superior race, Nazi doctors abandoned their oaths and turned from healers into tormentors. They saw their victims not as human beings, but as mere subjects for their cruel and inhumane experiments. The man who orchestrated this particular circle of hell was Dr. Hans Eppinger, a prominent Austrian physician seduced by the allure of power and recognition within the Nazi regime. Eppinger, once a respected doctor, became a symbol of the perversion of medical ethics under the Nazis. Eppinger, driven by a perverse ambition to advance his career and gain favor with the Nazi elite, saw an opportunity in the misery of the camps. He exploited the suffering of countless individuals to further his own standing within the regime. He believed that seawater, with some modifications, could be a viable substitute for fresh water, a theory as flawed as the ideology that fueled it. His experiments were not only scientifically unsound, but also morally reprehensible. His research, however, was never truly about science. It was about power, the power to control, to inflict pain, and to satisfy the whims of a regime drunk on its own hate. The true aim was to demonstrate the absolute control the Nazis had over life and death, reducing human beings to mere tools for their horrific agenda. The experiments were as brutal as they were pointless. The Romani prisoners, already weakened by starvation and disease, were forced to drink varying amounts of seawater, deprived of all other liquids. Some were given concoctions where the salt content was modified, a cruel parody of genuine scientific inquiry. Eppinger and his team meticulously recorded their observations, documenting the descent of these human guinea pigs into a state of agonizing dehydration. The prisoners suffered terribly. Their throats swelled, their tongues became unbearably dry, and their organs slowly shut down. Many experienced hallucinations, their minds rebelling against the torment inflicted upon their bodies. The cries of the suffering echoed through the camp, a testament to the depths of human cruelty and the indifference of those who orchestrated it. The Romani people, often referred to as gypsies, were among the most persecuted groups under the Nazi regime. Deemed racially inferior and a threat to the Aryan ideal, they were subjected to systematic discrimination, imprisonment, and extermination. Their culture, their traditions, and their very existence were deemed incompatible with the Nazi vision of a racially pure Europe. The seawater experiments were just one example of the countless atrocities inflicted upon the Romani people during the Holocaust. From mass shootings in the East to forced labor and medical experimentation in the camps, they were targeted with a ferocity born of ignorance and hate. Their stories, often overshadowed by the larger narrative of the Holocaust, are a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked prejudice and the fragility of human rights. Section 5. A Shadow of Hope. Amidst the horrors of Dachau, stories of resilience and defiance emerged. Ivan, the young man from our opening scene, clung to life with a tenacity that belied his frail frame. He witnessed unimaginable horrors, saw friends succumb to the agonizing effects of the experiments, but he never surrendered his spirit. His story, though tragically cut short by the liberation of the camp, serves as a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, hope flickered. Hope for survival, hope for justice, and hope for a future where such atrocities would never again be allowed to darken the face of the earth. Section 6. The Hippocratic Oath. The Nazi medical experiments represent a chilling betrayal of the very principles of medicine. The Hippocratic Oath, sworn by physicians for centuries, explicitly states, "First, do no harm." Yet in the death camps of Nazi Germany, this fundamental tenet was shattered, replaced by a callous disregard for human life and a perverse pursuit of scientific advancement at any cost. The actions of Eppinger and his collaborators stand as a stark warning. They remind us that knowledge, divorced from ethics and compassion, can be a dangerous tool. They force us to confront the uncomfortable truth that even the most respected professions are vulnerable to the corrupting influence of ideology and power. Section 7. Never Again. The phrase "never again" has become synonymous with the Holocaust. It is a pledge, etched in the collective memory of humanity, to never allow such atrocities to occur again. But remembering the past is not enough. We must actively combat the forces of hatred, intolerance, and discrimination that continue to plague our world today. The rise of nationalism, xenophobia, and racial profiling in various parts of the world serves as a chilling reminder that the lessons of the past have not been fully learned. We must remain vigilant, challenging injustice wherever we encounter it, and ensuring that the rights and dignity of all people are respected and protected. Section 8. A Call to Action. Remembering the victims of the seawater experiments and all those who suffered under the Nazi regime is not a passive act. It is a call to action, a demand for justice, and a commitment to building a better world. We must educate ourselves and future generations about the horrors of the past, ensuring that the memories of the victims are never forgotten. We must support organizations dedicated to combating anti-Semitism, racism, and all forms of intolerance. We must hold our leaders accountable for their words and actions, demanding that they uphold the principles of human rights and equality for all. And most importantly, we must never ever remain silent in the face of injustice. Section 9. Legacy of Horror. The seawater experiments at Dachau stand as a chilling testament to the depths of human cruelty. These experiments, conducted under the guise of scientific research, subjected prisoners to unimaginable suffering, stripping them of their humanity. They are a reminder of the fragility of human rights and the ever-present potential for evil to flourish when left unchecked. The trials that followed sought justice, but the scars left behind are a stark reminder of the cost of indifference. The legacy of these experiments is not just one of suffering and loss, but also one of resilience, resistance, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Survivors and resistance fighters showed incredible bravery, standing up against tyranny and oppression. Let us honor the memory of Ivan and the countless others who perished in these experiments by fighting for a world where such atrocities are relegated to the history books, never to be repeated. Their stories must be told and remembered. In this world, diversity is celebrated, and the inherent dignity of every human being is recognized and respected. We must strive to create a society where everyone is valued and protected. Let us be the generation that breaks the cycle of hatred and intolerance, standing together against bigotry and prejudice. Our actions today will shape the future, ensuring that the phrase "never again" is not just a hollow slogan, but a promise fulfilled. We owe it to the past and to future generations to make this commitment a reality.